This is Ask How. We teed it up on Sky Sports social media accounts, giving you at home the chance to ask this man absolutely anything. Eddie, we had thousands of questions. I've picked the best ones. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Some are a bit random, I will warn you. Okay. First one, I like this one. Just says, what's been your favourite Newcastle match or moment so far?
I think there's two. There's the goal we scored against Leicester at home in the season we were trying to stay in the division. When we first arrived, that was an incredible moment. Late goal for Bruno.
Yeah.
Arriving from midfield, it sort of meant we were safe, and that was objective number one complete. And the second one is the PSG game here.
Yeah.
And I watched it back recently, funny enough, and it sort of had escaped my memory some of the things that had happened that night. I mean, it was just incredible atmosphere. And the players' performance, it was a great day, that one.
It's interesting you said atmosphere there, because a lot of questions we had in said, what is the best atmosphere you've ever witnessed at St James's Park? Because it is iconic for the atmosphere and the noise that the fans generate. Is there one match where you look at the atmosphere as being the best that you've ever experienced?
Yeah, I think it's that game, and I think because you have so many games and you're always moving on to the next one, sometimes you rarely look back, but the PSG to actually watch it back and see the level of performance and the atmosphere. The stadium was on fire that night, and it did come across to the players, and the players delivered, but very, very special night.
Love it. Next one just says, who's the best team you've ever faced?
I think it has to be one of the many Manchester City teams. I think there's been a few, so Pellegrini's Manchester City team to then obviously Pep, and every time he seems to rebuild his team, or every season, that for me they get better, so I think it has to be Manchester City.
You're obviously famous for the attention to detail you put in for every match day, but when you come up against a Pep Guardiola's Man City, do you have to, as a manager, prepare even more or think extra special about the game, or do you just treat it as any normal match day?
No, I think you give it the same care that you give every other game.
Right.
It's just there's quite a bit to get through.
I bet. A lot of good players.
There's quite a bit to get through, but no, I think Pep's taken the game to a totally different level in England. I think he's been great for the game, and it's great to go up against him. But hopefully we can win one soon.
And it brings us perfectly on to the next question, speaking about Pep. It just says, who would be on Eddie Howe's Mount Rushmore of greatest ever managers? So if you're putting 4 managers, past or present, on Eddie Howe's Mount Rushmore, who'd you pick?
Number 1, Sir Bobby Robson. He has to be, not just for the links to this club, but for the jobs that he did in the various clubs that he managed. I mean, Ipswich, Newcastle, England, Barcelona. He did it home and abroad, which I have a lot of respect for, and the manner of which he managed as well. So has to be there. Pep Guardiola for me has to be there because he's revolutionised the game in England to a degree with how he's played and how he sees the game. Sir Alex Ferguson, without a shadow of a doubt, has to be there for his longevity, incredible. His winning mentality, his ability to just carry on year after year, just relentless. And I would go for Arsene Wenger, I think, because again, I think he was a revolutionary. I think he came in, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. Certainly helped English football prepare better, be more professional. I think that has a lasting effect.
And you mentioned 4 unbelievable managers there. Who do you think is the greatest manager of all time?
If I had to stick my colours to the mast, I think it would be very close between Pep and Sir Alex. I'll go for Sir Alex just because of his longevity at one club, which I think is very, very difficult to do.
Okay, love it. Next up, just says, has Eddie Howe got any hidden talents?
I've got plenty of talents, but they are all hidden. So
Great answer.
they're hidden that I don't even know they're there.
Oh,
I would go, one I haven't probably discussed is my love for snooker. So I had
Really?
Yeah, so when I was young, I had a real passion for snooker.
Wow.
Well, it was the era, it was the 80s, it was Steve Davis, Jimmy White, the legends of the game. The 85 snooker final I stayed up and watched.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely loved it, was gripped. Then sort of really followed Jimmy White and was desperate for him to win a world title. I'm a big fan of Jimmy. And I play a lot. Well, I say I play a lot. I don't play a lot now. I used to play a lot when I was playing.
Right. A bit more downtime when you play than when you're managing.
So I was one of those players that would try and play in the afternoons. Loved it. Loved the game. Still do, but don't play it as often as I used to.
Highest break? How good are we talking?
Yeah, we're not talking groundbreaking. A bit embarrassed to say. It'd probably be in my 30s, early 40s.
That's not bad. Okay. I like that.
That's on a full-size table. That's not
the mini ones. Lovely. Great question, that one. Next up, what's the best thing about living in Newcastle?
I'd say 2 things. The close proximity to everything. So you don't have long, big drives. Everyone is here. It's quite a tight-knit community, so I think that connection that you have with people, I think it's really good. I think the connection you have with the players are all local. I think that's really, really important to foster team spirit. So I love that about Newcastle, that it's not too big. But I think you have to say the coast. The coastline here is incredible. So I think you can venture north, south, along that coastline. You get some truly breathtaking views, and love taking my dog there. And again, when I get a moment, spending some time with him by the sea.
Love that. So that's the downtime. That's the dog walking and the snooker is what Eddie Howe likes to do in his downtime.
My dream day would probably include both of those things, yeah.
Okay, love it. Next one just says, what's the most random request Eddie Howe has had for cup final tickets?
I think this year's actually been pretty good. I haven't had too many. I think the most random ones are when you get a message from someone you don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't even address your name. So it's not, hi Eddie, it's, have you got any cup final tickets? A number I don't even know with no name left.
That's bold, isn't it?
Well, it's like,
do you even reply to that?
well, you haven't got, no, if you're not going to use my name,
yeah, it's a fair point.
then you're not going to get a reply.
So you said this time around, was it worse the first time then? Were you just getting inundated with tickets all the time?
Yeah, the first time it was messages all the way up to the final, probably for 2-3 weeks out.
Wow.
This time I don't know whether people have lost interest, but there's not the same interest.
Can you just explain? I stayed up in Newcastle last night and I was mesmerised by every pub you drove through had screenings for the cup final, like the taxi driver, the person serving me food, everyone is talking about this cup final. We know it's huge, but as a manager, can you put into words how big an event this is for not just the team, but for the city of Newcastle as well?
Well, I think you have to be up here, as you say, to experience it.
Yeah.
I think you can have a perception outside of Newcastle of what it's like here in terms of how much everybody loves football and everyone loves Newcastle and everyone is just focused on the one club. But when you're in it, you realise the passion, I always love looking at the families. You'll have you'll have grandparents, you'll have the parents, you'll have the kids, and they're like Newcastle obsessed. And you get that broad spectrum of ages, but the support is the same and the passion's the same. So I think a unique football club in that respect. And of course that brings real strengths for us, that we can try and harness that support and try and use that passion to help us.
And do you use anything differently to what you did the first time around? Could you use learnings from the build up to the first cup final to this? Anything you're doing the same or doing differently for this one?
I think we do the same in terms of our preparation on the pitch. It's more off the pitch. I think there's a few things that we're doing differently, like we're staying at a different hotel, a little bit more out the way. Last time we were right next to Wembley. Yeah, there'll be a few tweaks and changes around our preparation just to try and relax the players and make sure we get them at their best.
Love it. Next one just says ant or deck.
You can never choose between.
You can't, it's harsh that, isn't it?
That's like choosing between your kids. Yeah. Where you go to choose your favourite child, and I've got three boys. I could never choose one, and they're one for me.
Do you speak to them? Do you know them well? Obviously, they're huge Newcastle fans. Have you got a good relationship with them?
Yeah, I've got a good relationship. I text now and then, and we exchange. Great guys. Again, they follow the same pattern. They love Newcastle. They want the team to do well. Very supportive. Yeah, great people.
Have they messaged you for tickets?
No, I think they're sorted.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
They'll be fine.
They'll be all right with that.
They'll go above me.
Very good point. Next one just says, can Eddie Howe speak Geordie? Had a few messages about this actually.
Yeah, I've probably got a few phrases that I could wheel out. Probably not. I'm just trying to think. My boys, so as I said, 3 sons, they come back and they say things I've got no idea what they're talking about. Yeah, you've got to understand that. So my youngest, when he came, was 2.
Wow.
So he'd be full Geordie. My eldest is 13, and they're catching statements all the time and new things that I don't understand. And their accent, like saying the word up for me is up.
Really?
You know,
that's amazing.
Those little things, I'm like, well, what did he just say? Quite interesting.
Do you want to demonstrate any Geordie for the Newcastle fans watching?
Now you put me under pressure, I can't think of anything.
Why I man, we're off to Wembley?
Well, of course, why I man, but that's standard. I don't even consider that.
Fair enough.
Geordie, so away, come on.
Love it, absolutely love that. Next one says, what's on Eddie Howe's pre-match playlist?
I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear that it'll be a very 80s based playlist. It'll be led by Aha, will be
I remember interviewing you at Bournemouth about 10 years ago, and you told me about your love for Aha. So you still listen to them to this day?
Oh yeah, it's not changed. It's not going to change.
Not going to change ever?
I'm set for life.
Brilliant.
I'm on that course. I absolutely love them.
Yeah.
Love their music. Yeah, I wouldn't say I listen to them every day religiously, but I'll always go back to them in a week. I'll be listening to some sort of track.
Like it. Who's on the dressing room sort of DJ? Like, is there one player, captain, coach that looks after the music in the dressing room?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a mix. I think we have Andreas Kasper, who's our nutritionist, is sort of in charge of the playlist, but he'll be controlled by the players, so they remote control him and he'll deliver the tracks. A lot of them I don't know.
Right.
I listen sort of going, that's okay, but
Not
it's not me.
Not you.
Sam Fender's tracks that
Yeah.
have got, of course, they've got links with Newcastle. They're very, very popular, and I do like Sam. I think he's very good. Of the modern day artists, I'd say he's up there for me.
Have you seen him live, Sam Fender?
I haven't, unfortunately.
No.
I'd love to, but it hasn't tallied with my holidays because he's usually
Same time.
St James's Park in the summer. But no, really impressed with him.
Yeah, fair enough. Next one just says, tell us something we don't know about Jason Tindall.
Well, it's a difficult one. Most of it I'd probably has been out there, I'd say, with his mad dog reputation. I'd say, just looking at him purely as a footballer, let's go to football.
Okay.
He played every position under the sun when he played. We never quite knew what he was, so he would play centre half. This would be in the same game.
Yeah.
He'd then get moved to midfield. I'm like, oh, he's in midfield now. Then he'd get moved up front.
Yeah.
And then he'd play wide, and then he'd come back next to me at centre half, and I'd be, either he's very good to play those different positions, or he's very bad.
Which one do you think it is?
So it's probably a mix of the two, depending how well he was playing. It just moved everywhere, so a very, very versatile footballer, one of the most versatile I've seen.
Does he still mix it up in training? Because I remember we did a Guess the Pro feature last year, and he demonstrated how to take a penalty, and he's still got a bit in his locker, isn't he? Clearly.
He did last year. I think we're not getting old, but we're getting older footballing terms, and I know that I can't kick the ball anywhere near as hard as I used to be able to, and I think Jace, unfortunately, is following the same trend. So his joining in days are they're non-existent now, but even his kicking of the ball and the demoing, they're not as strong as they used to be.
Okay, I like it. Our next one says, which current Newcastle player would make the best manager?
I think we've got a few, so I'll go through a couple. I think Joe Linson's definitely, he's got a very good tactical brain. He understands the game. Sean Longstaff understands the game to a really high level. So I think those two immediately strike me. Dan Burn's got an unbelievable presence and good knowledge of the game and great attitude, so he'd be a really hard worker. He's someone that I could see doing it too.
Interesting. What do you think are the most important characteristics of someone who went from player to manager at a very young age? What do you think are the most important characteristics to make that jump?
I think firstly, love for the game.
Right.
I think you've got to be obsessed with the game. I think if you're not, if you're genuinely, I like playing the game, but I'm not really in love with the game, I don't think it's going to work. You've got to think deep and try and break the game down. And I think you can only do that if you really, really have a passion, not just for playing it. You have to want to watch it. You want to scout players. You've got to just absolutely love the game. First and foremost, I think that's the most important quality.
Interesting. And the final question just says, what is Alexander Isak like away from the pitch?
He's the same as he is on it. He's just very cool, calm, collected. But then when he's doing something, he's on it. So what I mean by that is we've got the little games room, and he'll be playing table tennis, very competitive, wants to win. He's very good technically, as he is with his football. We've got a good school of table tennis players. He's a good laugh, Alex. He's a good guy. You can talk with him, joke with him. A very friendly person.
And in terms of on the pitch, we've all seen just how good a player he is, what a season he's having. As someone who sees him every day in training, day in, day out, what sort of level are we talking about? How good a player are we talking about here? Because he's had an unbelievable season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I think since he's been at the club, I think he's had some really good games. I think he's really developing as a footballer, as a person. I think we're seeing his personality come out more and more. Yeah, I think we're talking at the highest level in the game at the moment. For me, I don't think there's anything he can't do well. I think he's a very good all-rounder. His game's suited to the Premier League. It's our job now to try and improve him even more.
Love that. Eddie, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good luck for the cup final and the rest of the season.
Thanks very much.
Top man.